Good afternoon. It's Joyful Christian Mystic Hermit. More comments have come in. A Gray Rocking has weighed in. She has particular wisdom and very pragmatic, very prudent person. Wise and prudent, among other gifts. And this is relative to the point of starting out with how we can have sadness, and it can occur for many reasons, but usually, our sufferings involve other people, or our sufferings can cause a rift or something to happen with other people. And it's hard for other people out in the active world, religious or non-religious, to be able to understand truly someone who has a lot of suffering, physical and otherwise, and or going through grieving or whatever it is, or especially if it's a combination, or the person who's drawn out of the world. The misunderstanding there is often really wide. But it can even happen among people who are in the same element, same type of issue going on. But Gray Rocking points out it can be misunderstanding, to be misunderstood, or just not understood at all. A total disconnect. I thought that was a great point. May as well see the full spectrum of this example, this issue that affects every single person. I can't, except maybe the Virgin Mary. No, she had. Jesus left. He left home in good terms, and he had good reasons. But we don't know, like my eldest daughter and my son, my daughter who speaks every now and then will say something, and she finally says, "I'm just so tired of you, just always so upset and grieving over my siblings, my brother and my sister, and thinking about them and wondering what it was that you did." And she says, "You just need to stop." She says, "They don't think about you. You think about them. You care. They don't. They're just busy living their lives. Why don't you just live your life?" So often what happens in situations that I don't even know what I did with the other one, I know what I did. And it was something that was rather illogical to get that upset over, but that's probably not the real reason. I'm starting to see some of this is they just want freedom to live their lives, and practically looking or waiting for something to happen. And it's usually subconscious, so they're not in their minds thinking, "Oh, I can't wait till I can have something happen so I can be justified in going out, getting away from my mom or my dad or both of them, and just living my life free of any kind of responsibility to have to do anything with them, or talk with them, or take care of them, or deal with their issues." And so, something little happens and boom. And maybe they genuinely are angry or upset and it was our fault or whatever, but it doesn't warrant someone just cutting you out of your life forever. But they do that. It starts out with anger, and they get out and they all of a sudden realize, "Oh, this is so much easier. I have my friends now, I've gotten married, I have my own children, my house, my career, my adult life to live free of my parents or one or the other of them. And life's easier that way. It's less complicated, especially if the parent has a disability or is a victim soul and has things happen one after another." I heard that comment yet again. It's always something with you. It's always something. As if I'm the one making things happen that's something, problem. Or no, they come to me. It's my mission. Part of my mission is suffering. But it's a good reminder to me, if the other person has that view of it, that it's always something. Oh, what's next? What's going to happen? What's this one about? Or this issue, or this problem, or this upset, or this suffering. That it's with those people, just don't mention anything or try not to. Of course, then why didn't you tell me? So we have to be the adult in the room, in the relationship, and the understanding one. And along with suffering comes martyrdom. Be the martyr. Just take it. Just take it. Take the stab wounds. Get beheaded or whatever it's going to be. Get yelled at or misunderstood or not understood at all. And because it's okay, except don't show our martyrdom. Take it heroically as best we can. And I think with a sense of humor, like St. Lawrence, whether it's true or not, but it's been said, and I think, why wasn't it true? Probably. I would hope to have that sense of humor. As they were burning him alive, grilling him, broiling him alive over hot coals, he said, "It's time to turn me over to do the other side." Like he was a piece of meat. And, why not? Be lighthearted as best we can about the things that happen to us that, in honesty, we don't deserve, or we don't deserve to the extent that it's taken. But I honestly think, I'll use Michelle as an example again, that her daughter got very upset over something she had said, the mother had said, Michelle had said. And Michelle is very young. It's at her age, she's 20 years younger than me, basically. I could be her mother, Michelle's mom. And this young woman could be my granddaughter. And yes, I would be upset for her treating her mother like that. But all I would be able to do is pray, or try to talk with her, or be the go-between to have the gifts that the daughter comes to get, and receive them from Michelle, and then, have the granddaughter come and get them. And that's a good sign that she comes and gets them. So I think, even if she never speaks to her mom again, which I think she will, I hope, but we don't know. We can't control any of that. And we have to get to the point where we are so busy with what God's utilizing us to do that it doesn't matter. Like my daughter said, why are you live your life surrounding yourself with, wondering what you did and thinking about them and wondering what they're doing and how they are, sending them a text, I'm thinking of you, or to the oldest daughter, I do that. Or a photograph of one of the grandchildren when they were little. If I come across it, or something that she gave me, or a card she gave me, take a picture and send it, say, "This was so lovely of you when you sent this." And, she says, "Mom, they're not thinking of you like that. They're busy. They're doing their jobs. They're enjoying their lives. They're dealing with their own problems. They're just in their worlds living. And they're not thinking about you like you think of them." But then I said, well, I think it's good that I care and that I think about them. Every thought is a prayer. In my view, my perspective, when I'm thinking of someone, it's a praying for them. Whether I make it a formal prayer or not, it's a prayer. It's love that I'm thinking of them. And I've gotten away from grieving about it, totally have. Because that the pray, love, forgive, and then live your life relieved me. Because the live your life has happened. I'm doing that, and I've been healed of the what had become really habitual of grieving over my kids and wondering what it was that I'd done with the one, and wishing that the other weren't so hot-tempered as to and illogical to think that what I did was that terrible. I won't go into the story again of it, but it wasn't that awful in a logical mind sense of it. And I asked a doctor and a clinical psychologist if that was, oh yeah, you needed to do that. You needed to step in and say something about the situation to another person who was directly involved but had no clue. And the son erupted over that, over a third party situation. It was crazy. It literally was sort of crazy. But see, it didn't make any sense. And the other one, to have whatever it was, to have a grudge that long. And same with Michelle's daughter. It's illogical after a certain amount of time. And that's sort of our clue that they initially were upset, and they get out there and realize, I like this. I like my freedom. I like not having to be responsible to remember my mom's birthday or her Mother's Day or Christmas or call or anything. Keep this thing going. And their life becomes so full that they don't think about us. They're just living. And we have to step back and say, that's a great thing. And I've often thought, too, I'm so grateful because my kids won't grieve when I die. Because they've already are out there living their lives without me and without thinking about me. It won't be like I can still get, very, like reading my mom's journal and, but I like that. I like that I'm just that way. And I've had to learn not everybody is. Not everybody is that sensitive and caring of other people. And I have the time and the emotional space to do it. People out in the world working their jobs don't. Those of us who suffer do. That's our line of work, suffering. And we even suffer for those who have hurt us. And we suffer for those who are suffering, who were hurt. We're empathic. But like Koine pointed out in his comment and with his life, once you get a mission, once you get to a point where the sadness has run its course, and it should, you shouldn't get snared in it too long. Open up to God. That's why God added that live on there. And why at first when he said live, I said, well, live more for my kids, because I already was living for them. In my grieving, in my thinking about them. They were, 3/4 of my mental space was my kids. And I was none of their space to maybe 1%, or certain days maybe, or the daughter here, bless her heart, when I nearly died, she really stepped up and, would text, how are you doing? She's backed off of that now, doing that so much, which is good. It was too much, unnecessary, because, I'm doing okay. And if not, I'd let her know. If I had to go to ER or something, I would tell her, text her. But see, I couldn't before because I was in too bad a shape. I went unconscious, so I couldn't text her. So anyway, but that all worked out. But so we wouldn't want them to be that. But just now and then, or a call on a birthday would be nice. But I've come to the point where it's not necessary, and I'm so tired that it's really sort of exhausting. So I'm used to my life now, and I'm living it. That's what God said. He said, no, you live your life now. You've prayed for them, you've loved them, you still love them, you still pray for them, that's fine. You forgave them. You forgave. It's done. Live your life now. Nothing holding you back. And it was like, whoa, yeah. And about that time, no, I think I was already doing videos then, but it really opened me up more. And I got away from, I got all the emotional dump out for the most part. I still do little bits as it go along in life. Often I will give a pain update into these videos. It's just my dumping out the emotion of it. If something awful or something extra painful, like my stupid toe, it's doing better. But an added suffering of some sort, emotional or physical, if I express it somehow into this little laptop, and I can see you guys out there just sort of mentally through this screen, and I can see this person, me, dumping it out, it's very cathartic. I used to write, well, I still do, but I can't write as well, longhand write, laying down and stuff, and typing in my printer doesn't work, and because I write it and then I can read it in print, and it's very cathartic that way. It's like all of this emotion, all this suffering of this day, this latest thing, the whatever happened, is there in print on a piece of paper. I set it aside and it's away from me then. It's sort of an automatic psychological but healing process. God is great. He gives us all kinds of means of dumping out so it's not clogged in. Now, other people will go out and, do something physical. Go out and play some pickleball, or go out and play some football, or go for a long hike, or go for a run, or go bake something, or cook dinner or something. Well, see, I can't do that. Even the cooking and standing gets my back. Then I'd be right back talking about it. Oh, my back. Oh, it's too much. It's too much, Getting it out, so I try to avoid. But it used to be, I'd have people say, you shouldn't talk about it. And then also some very, very religious people who don't suffer usually, they don't have, everyone suffers, but they don't have nonstop, like nonstop headache, nonstop pain, nonstop foot pain, horrific foot pain that you can't even walk, or back pain, or whatever it is, or such horrible emotional pain that it's hard to get over. And if they don't have that intensity, to them it seems like, well, a saint wouldn't say a word. A saint would smile, grin and bear it, and just live their life and go out and help the poor. And it wouldn't affect, they would just, that's what a saint would do. Why don't you do that? Try that. Don't talk about it anymore. You've already told me you don't feel well or something, And so I'm try to be careful about. That's why dumping it here, but probably people have stopped watching. Oh, she starts out, saying something about what hurts or something. Well, I'm dumping it out. It's a technique. And it works. It worked for me, especially going over my life in the first videos, the first probably year. It took a long time. All the things and the divorce and this and that. And I don't have flashbacks anymore like I used to. I used to have so many flashbacks. It was terrible. It was imprisoning. And that cured me. So do what helps. Don't worry about what other people say, but do it judiciously. If you know someone is bothered and, can't take it anymore, then just zip it and try some other way, like writing it out, printing it out, looking at it, even burning it or tearing it up, or keep it. Stick it in a notebook in a closet. It's away, but it's still a reality of your life. And there's no erasing some of these sufferings. They're there. They're imprinted. The big ones, the traumatic ones are. But at least we can get it get it away so that we are free to live. It's a process of praying for ourselves, loving ourselves enough to do something about it, get it out, and forgiving ourselves for whatever part we had in any of it, including I used to beat myself up for, why didn't I try to get a different surgeon? Why did we have that surgeon? Well, my family doctor set it up with that surgeon. Maybe a different surgeon wouldn't have had, made the goof. It was an accident. Misjudged the rods and stuff with my bones or whatever it was. They were bent too much and caused me the cardiac arrest, and that's rushing for a second surgery obviously punctured the arachnoid membrane that gave me this lifelong nasty arachnoiditis. And, it's just, I used to go over it all and think if I'd only done this or I should have done that. Even with divorce, I should have known sooner or I should have blah, blah. Gotten a different lawyer, especially for the accident, because they sold me down the river too and did it on the divorce. So, that all that has to stop or we're not free. Forgive ourselves for what we didn't do or what we think we should have done, whether we could have or not, and whether it would have made any difference or not. We still do a lot of blame. And forgive ourselves for what we've said or whatever we've done that causes another human being to cut off a parent for years. It's illogical. So, when illogical things start happening, think especially God. Well, the devil can get involved too, but if you've discerned it all, God wants you for something else. Live. He wants you to live your life now, and he's got plans for us. So, Gray Rocking brought up another point. When we get beat up by a person, especially someone who's close, or it could even be somebody who, I'll deal with the other type later, but someone who's close, they often do it because it's convenient for them, they know you, they're comfortable, and they maybe had pent-up feelings for a long time, and it's like an emotional release to get it out at you. And you're convenient because they know you and they've loved you, they've lived with you, you've reared them or whatever. Or like my mother used to do it to me, or my sisters say things that, whoa, but she was comfortable to do it. We were familiar and she could get it out. It's not the smartest thing to do. It's better to do it on paper, which she did a lot in her journal, but that was later on. But, and they have a sense of comfort, and that's a good thing. Don't we want people, especially the ones closest to us, to be able to communicate with us? Lovey, is there somebody out there? I just had you outside. I just had them outside a little bit ago. We might have to go out again, but so that I wanted to share, I'll just do that, what Gray Rocking said. Read it in the comments. It was for this last video, the one I did just a couple days ago. And because it's an excellent insight and very wise. Plus her other aspects that she included with it that were very astute also. And she did mention, that she's praying for Michelle. Grateful, grateful, grateful. Pray for everyone. But Michelle needs the prayers. I mean, she's at this turning point. She's at the cusp where she realized, and the Holy Spirit helped her, and then somehow our videos turned back up, and she thought, maybe I better revisit this. And evidently tuned into something that helped her, and then expressed, see, it's good. She expressed how lonely she is, how isolated she is. Well, she is very isolated. Imagine if you can't use your feet and you live alone and your only child, your only person, husband's no longer with her, only person, mother doesn't live there, is not speaking and gone, moved away. So, and friends, they drop off. I know this. I know it. They drop off. I think I've mentioned these friends back in the big city, back in the Midwest, that knew me, and I thought, oh, this is, sort of my Catholic family. And they had children I watched grow up and was close with, and would, gift their birthdays and their Christmases, and, just felt like sort of a second grandma or something, or it wasn't that old, much older, actually, at that point, but like an older aunt or something. I felt very, very close to them, very close, and she helped me a lot when I'd be sick or have surgery, different things happen, and a confidant. I thought, oh, I can dump this stuff out, and they knew I was being I don't know if scapegoated is the word, but just targeted for being different by priests and by people in the parish, especially once the ecstasy started happening. And they knew me well enough, they figured it had to be something spiritual. And finally, I decided I was going to tell them because they were so close. And that's when the husband said that he had envied me terribly and was really sort of, because I saw that they were acting different. And that's why I decided, it wasn't even human. It wasn't right. It wasn't decent of me to someone that close to. So I broke what the Reverend Monsignor, don't answer any questions, don't talk to anyone about it, anyone at all. And I thought, that's not even human and not even loving at all. I'm not making any proclamations or, saying God says to do this or that. No, I was simply having a state during Mass that I could not make stop, or have stop. And it had a lot of good if they had wanted to listen to the message of what I was being shown and experiencing during that ecstasy, during every Mass. But they didn't. It was more, step down on this, keep it under control, Well, there was not going to be anything out of control. It was nothing that, earth-shattering at all. So I finally did say, and then he admitted all this stuff, but it came time, and they helped me with getting the trees dug up, her son and his friends, and she would drive them over, and I paid them. They dug out trees and I sold them, and they helped me pack, and very caring. If I would be sick, they would be there with some soup or something. And especially if I asked, mentioned that I was too sick or whatever. Well, I had shoulder surgery. She finally brought some soup over then. And when I had my neck injury, she came and got me and took me to some chiropractor who was more than just a chiropractor. He had degrees and all, and he had me get an X-ray and things. And couldn't really do anything for the neck. Just said it was lucky I wasn't dead. Could have easily been killed with what happened with people messing with me during Mass. But stuff like that, just really bent over backwards, so kind and generous and good. Included me out for, their meals now and then, or Thanksgiving and stuff. And she confided in me, and I prayed for her kids. I really, but I moved, and that was that. And I was stunned because I had other people that stuck with me, friends that I would keep in touch with. I mean, over the years, things shift, but see, that's the same thing as I realized it wasn't that kind of friendship to them as it was to me. They were relieved. They were busy people, 5 teens, close together in age, in college, and it was a kind of mother that was very involved with her kids, very involved with her kids. And I think they still are, probably. One of them had gotten married that I still had contact then. And, they would go up once a month and spend the weekend and help do this or that, and very involved. And the kids didn't mind. So that's just different. And it's also different if you have a husband or if the husband has a wife. Once it's worse if it's just a single parent. I've had research on this, that the kids react differently and not positively when they grow up. They tend to go off on their own even more. So there's lots of reasons involved for this. And there comes a time, though, that we'll realize, or God will let us know, that he has something he wants for us. It might be our victim soul work. It may be writing notes to other people. And I'll talk about all that kind of stuff later, the kinds of things we can do. And I have another poem, but I better stop. But Gray Rocking, thank you. She has an uncanny sense of this wisdom, insights, practical, prudent, hits the nail on the head kind of thing, and does it succinctly, which I don't do. So anyway, read it in the comments to get the gist, but it's, those closest often get the worst flack, and she explains why. So, but it is a thing. It's a reality. And once we know the facts about stuff, and I cried and cried when the daughter told me, they don't think about you, they don't care. And she says, and it's not that they're just being mean or anything. They've moved on. They've forgotten about it themselves, and they're just living their lives and enjoying doing so. And she says, and then here you are. And she says, and then I have to hear it from you. When she says, I have a life to live too. And I realized, oh my goodness, I've just spent years of my life wasted, really. Wasted energy, wasted grieving after the initial hurt and stuff. That it wasn't doing any good for me or for anyone. And then I started to realize what an honor it was that I'd done such a great job. Pat myself on the back. That they're out there living their lives without any problem. They don't need me. I can die and I don't have to worry. They'll be fine. In fact, more than fine. They are better than ever without me. Because the eldest one is very, very sensitive, and it gets to be an overload. She's very sensitive about anything medical, and it, but very compassionate, but it's an overload. She's got this Microsoft job with these teams, and she has to be online and emailing and texting all day long, and she doesn't want to text then. I don't blame her. I realize that. That's all she does. She doesn't want to have to text more. And she's got things that upset her from growing up, and whatever it was that I did as adults in 2012 that have upset her, and she needed to have a big break and a big wall. She tried to get back in, but she has such a negative mindset of me that she too decided I was nothing but a very negative, most negative person she'd ever been around. When I just had my knee replaced and it was a failure. And the HOA guys had just started. They were just starting, but they'd grilled me for an hour in the driveway, ranting at me about, I shouldn't be doing any of these things, and, just on and on and on. Not liking this, not liking that, targeting me, picking on me. I'm the only single woman here in this subdivision who's does her work. Even mowing my yard. And so it's a matter of just, you know, I was on overload, and then I had this knee, and then I found out that I'd been under medicated. The pain was, I couldn't control it. Yes, of course, I'm sure I was horribly negative or whatever. But see, she doesn't have the perspective of suffering because she isn't around me much. The other one does. She has to deal with all my suffering. And honestly, I would like for her to have a break from me. That's why I suggested it a few days ago. Why don't we just have a break? But no, she, you know, she wants to keep responsible. She doesn't want to seem to be a bad person. Gosh, these dogs. Are you there? Is this still running? It's too much having them up on the bed. Oh my gosh, this is still going. Well, see, that's what happens when you guys are both up here and messing around, and then somebody falls off. I don't know which one fell off first, but they're fine. And what flipped out was just my little stand thing. So, but yeah, so it's you know, I'm just thankful that they are living, doing well, and that they are responsible adults and living their lives. But it has taken a long time for me to get to this point. So I'm not saying that this is easy at all. And it comes to people at different times. But God does have a place for us, and He has a purpose and a mission. And anyone who has suffered as much as Michelle, with her feet, with everything, and being so hindered by pain, more than me, she's more hindered than me. I can walk on my feet, but it's the mission may be suffering and offering that suffering. And God utilizes it on souls. I have examples of vicarious suffering we can talk about. And because that could be the mission. Or it could be writing. It could be a ministry of not only praying for people, but sending note cards. And Koine, you know, got me started in making my little note cards. And it's fun. And it takes my mind off my suffering to make these little cards and then send them to someone. Because people, they love getting something in them, a card in the mail. People who can't get out, as Michelle would know probably, or anyone, just to care. So, but there's a mission for Michelle. There's a mission for everyone. And it's for those who are, and also the big part of the mission is drawing close to God, learning to love as God loves, and becoming one with God and one with His love, and becoming holy in God's love, and practicing love with others. I want to do a video on all the ways of practicing love that we can do, and not even going out and being around people if we can't. There's ways to practice love. And once we start actively in our mission, then the adventure really begins. It technically has begun when we're suffering. That's preparing us. That's letting us know that God has called us to something other. I'm talking about major suffering, mental, emotional, like the friend in the Midwest. When I left there, I was being obnoxious, prodding at them. They lived like 3 short blocks from the church, 2 from the rectory, and the church was on the other side, so 3 total from the actual church. And they weren't going to daily mass. Well, especially the husband, he was retired, he hadn't. They weren't involved in anything there, but they would go Sunday to the Sunday obligation. can't stand that word with the Mass. It doesn't belong with the Mass. It's no obligation. It's gift to us. It's gift and joy. And it's the closest we're going to get to heaven on earth is being in Mass. If we're in tune with it, we'll start knowing and sensing why. It's supernatural. It's a supernatural experience on earth. And but I kept after them, and because I had all these books, and this is my little house. It was but I was lived by the bad neighbor. I had to move, but all my art around was all religious. Everything. Oh my goodness! But I was free to live my life. I didn't have to have other things because of kids. I didn't have to be balanced anymore for them and for their friends. See, I did all that because that's what I needed to do. That was being, good and including their perspective in their lives. They weren't mystics. My kids aren't mystics, so they shouldn't have to live in a house like that when they're growing up. So they didn't. And but I didn't totally sacrifice. I still read. I could pray. I would be at school. I had my times I could at night. I did the rosary at night, and so they were studying or whatever, talking with friends, and so I could fit in what I needed just fine and still have for them and be for them, be there for them. But so it's just the adventure is partly our suffering that's training us, and it will continue to train us and teach us, because love and suffering go together. We are so blessed to have the suffering all the time. Those of us who do have some kind of a suffering that is significant all the time, or even those who have secondary sufferings all the time, or who are supportive sufferers, like someone whose wife or husband is ill, emotionally, physically, or in whatever way, bad back or whatever. They are a supportive victim soul themselves. Their life is included in the spouse's suffering as a support to that person. And they're married, and that never changes, and it affects their lives. So this man married to the wife who had this hereditary paranoid schizophrenia come on her in her 30s and got worse and worse, and disabled her with it. And so his wife changed her mind, everything. She had to have brain shocks. And he was in a state of, could he cope? Could he handle it? But probably between the priest and after they started going to Mass, he started going daily. I got to him with my little talons, my little extremist mystic stuff, and all my books. They would come, and because he wanted her to get out, and we became friends. She's the only person in the whole diocese who came to my I started a Catholic book discussion. I mean Catholic books, not the parish book club that they read the fiction or whatever just to get together socially. That's great to do. But I wanted to offer something of the kind of books that take us somewhere in the Catholic faith. So, and they were good books. We even read Tanqueray. We read St. Francis de Sales, and I had like 5 different books, and we met monthly, and I had book discussion questions that would draw everyone out so that no one, different people each time were going to be the point person to keep the discussion going and to lead the group, so it wouldn't be just dependent on me or one person or something. I paid for advertisement in the diocese newspaper. They wouldn't do it for free. In the parish bulletin, they wouldn't do it because they said, well, we want to have the priest recommend it. And the priest wouldn't, because he didn't like me. The Red Monsignor didn't. Well, he liked me, but, not enough to say that. And Catholics, they didn't want to go unless the priest. But here this couple came. I had only met her one time before, when I was getting the Padre Pio prayer group going, which the priest, a different priest, doused that out. But I had video and stuff, and we had quite a few people come for the video. It was in the parish, but parish classroom. But um, she's the only one who showed up out of the whole diocese. And I had people call with questions because I'd left a phone number. You know, they call and ask questions or sign up. And she says, "Well, does a priest approve of this? Are you approved by a priest to do this?" And I said, "No," but I said, "We're just discussing Catholic books. It's not, oh, well, I'm not coming if it's not going to be approved by a priest. Then you're doing something without permission." It's just, oh, okay. I think we have a temporal light there, don't we? A temporal light. So, anyway, but she came and we became good friends ever since. But after that, then, and she doesn't go to daily mass, but she goes on the weekends, and I think it's her situation, um, her medicines and stuff. They make her tired probably in the morning or something like that. So but her husband goes to morning daily mass, and he got involved in a area soup kitchen, Catholic soup kitchen, and she's now involved in their parish book club, and also they go to a couples club and a couples Bible study, and anything they're having programs for Advent that different people in the parish lead, and of course, if a priest isn't there, the attendance is down. I've asked her to let me know because I said this is a phenomenon that should be broken. People shouldn't be that dependent on a priest. I feel sorry for the priests that people won't even go to somebody's well constructed Advent program, some aspect of Advent. They have each week a different aspect or some theme for Advent to discuss. And I guess this last time it was better attended than ever before. They had 20 come out of a huge parish, but at least that was better than it had been before. So they're doing all these things, and her day is filled in with a balance of activities. And he paints, he's an artist, and he's retired, and he paints and does woodcuts. Well, like this one, but all books of the Bible or religious themes, and meditates as he's painting on what scripture he's painting, putting on in art. And they invite people over, people who don't have any other person for holidays. They'll have them over for dinner. And they both cook together, and it has become like the holy couple. And they have an adult son who lives there, and he helps. He works, helps homebound men because they want to stay in their homes, and it's nice to have a man come and be their caregiver. So he engages in the conversations with the guests they have, and they have become, like I said, you guys are like a couple of hermits or monastics. They are like a monastic order of two, and add the son in a little bit for three, living in their home, their monastery home. And their daughter comes from another state with her family. Oh, probably 3 or 4 times a year they come, and they play games. It's just their lives have become enriched because they were able to finally adapt to the suffering. The mother suffers terribly, and the husband also as a result. A lot of men would have left, wouldn't have been able to take it, because she's a different person. And more routinized. He drives her places. He plans things for them to go do that are interesting. uh, used bookstore or different ethnic groceries, or um, just outings in the town, or the museum, or different art shows that come now and then. Uh, so they have adapted to the suffering, and that has become their life and their ministry. His artwork and her, she knits. She's a fiber artist now. She used to have, it was partly the paranoid schizophrenia, really bothered that he was so engrossed in his art. Well, an artist is anybody. It's his work. It's his soul, and his mission is his artwork, and it sells, and or they he gets commissioned by different places to do carve stations of the cross or whatever, different things. And he does things voluntarily for the church. He's a sacristan now, too, head sacristan. When the bishop happens to come to that parish, he's the one they definitely have to be the sacristan for the bishop, the altar server. And it's just amazing. And her holiness, she is my mentor now, like many of you are. So once we make that crossover into living our lives now in the way we can, in the way God has wanted all along, and allowed the suffering in a certain way, because God doesn't view it as suffering like we do, as a negative. He allowed it to usher us in so that we could comprehend so much more than usual people, than the normal people who have to slug it out in the temporal world. I don't envy them at all, and I'm so grateful now. But there were years that I did, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that for you, Lord, if you had just healed me. And he would say outright, no, you would be too drawn out into the world. I had to have this for you, to keep you from being drawn out into the world. He wanted me for this, to be able to have my spiritual 24/7, be in spiritual hog heaven. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I don't have enough hours. Well, I'll find it. Everything got sort of tossed up here, but I have this, and it's Father James Alberoni. That's the founder of the Society of St. Paul, and also the Daughters of St. Paul, and all these other outshoots that he started back in 1914. I have a relic of them that will do a blessing, because I'm thinking I should dedicate because they are all about communication, and whatever he wanted to spread the gospel, and in whatever communication of the current time period. So this vlog here that we all are a part of, it's our cyber community. At least from my perspective, it's an hour, because you guys' input and coordination, you are my mentors also. I am learning so much. You have helped me so much handle the suffering. You'll help Michelle handle her suffering and get into whatever ministry that God has for her. So, oh, here it is. I'll do a blessing of us with this relic right there. There he is. Because I'm going to dedicate this vlog to his outreach. He's deceased now, of course. And he's a venerable, I think. Well, he should be a saint. See, if I had it my way, we wouldn't do the canonizations. People know he deserves to be canonized. I would do the voice of the people way, and there would be thousands and thousands of saints. and maybe some listing of all of them so we could read about them or something, but wouldn't go through all the cost and the time and the hassle and the, just way too much cost in my opinion, which nobody's asked for, nor are they going to heed. But I don't think it's the best thing at all to have all that going on. And now they had rules for their canonizations, and now they break them. Used to have to wait a certain amount of time after the person had died. Now they just sort of pick certain ones to fulfill some kind of a quota they've got going. But whatever, that's another topic. I cannot get on it. It's pointless. It's stupid. It's stupid to even talk about it. But this is, I think the vlog, what do I even call this thing even? Joyful Christian Mystic Hermit. That this is Father James, Venerable James Alberione, Society of St. Paul. I'll have to think of some way to dedicate my little mission here for all of us. I think this, it is a form of communication in our time period. So with may Father James, Venerable James, who started the Society of St. Paul, please bless this internet effort. Please bless this internet effort, especially of many of us who are homebound and suffering. And I pray especially for any of the viewers, Michelle and any others who are needing to have God have your mission be unfolded to them so that they have their purpose and their adventure begun with this Father James Alberione. Oh, there he is right there. And there's on the back side, you find it, is a blessed relic. Right, let me get it up here, right there. I'll put it right up there for you guys to touch in faith. Looks like his blood. I think that looks like a drop of his blood, not just a piece of cloth in there. Let me get it up close. Now, let me get this. Get it in the light a certain, whoops, over here. Yeah, looks like blood. It's very special. He gave his life. He gave his life for Christ and for his mission. That's what we're to do. And there's nothing stopping us, nothing at all. And then our adventure begins. And before long, we're living our life as God says. We pray, we love, we forgive, and we're living our life. Because we count too. We count. We're not just on the shelf while everybody else is out living their lives. Just because we're got sufferings or are old or whatever the matter may be. Like my friend with the schizophrenia. Yeah, her husband has to take her to get her meds checked every now and then to make sure that they're working right in her body. And so she doesn't have any episodes or any confusions, but she's become so holy. And her life is an adventure now, and she stays home. She doesn't drive at all. So there's a lot out there for us, those of us who suffer. Great adventure ahead, great purpose, great meaning. And then all of a sudden we realize, I'm not upset anymore. I'm not feeling alone anymore. I'm not feeling despairing. But it's a process, that's for sure. It's not like boom. It could be an instantaneous miracle. It's more of a slow miracle. that God works for us. So God bless. I'll talk to you later. I want to talk more about things we can do and the poem I have for you. So it's the day of blessing this ministry here, that you all are a big part of it, even if you don't want to. From my perspective, since we're talking about perspectives, you all are part of me now. You're my base, you're my network, you're my friends, you're the people who pray for me, who care, and I care about you. So that's why I say our community, our cyber community. You may not feel you are, but from my perspective, yeah, I love you. So, okay, I got to get these doggies out. They've waited. They pick up my stuff that flew off the bed. Much love to you all.